Welcome to the regular Freeholder meeting held on Wednesday, July 25th, 2018 at 6 p.m. Can I have a roll call, please?
Freeholder Graham.
Here.
Freeholder Lazaro.
Yes.
Freeholder Patillo.
Here.
Freeholder Director Rose.
Present.
Freeholder Yardley.
Here.
Can I have a moment of silence and salute to the flag, please? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Appeal 1975, adequate notice is defined by Section 3D, Chapter 231, Appeal 1975 has been made by regular mail. Such notice being submitted on July 16, 2018 from the Administrative Center of the County of Sussex, located at 1 Spring Street, New Jersey, to the following: New Jersey Herald, New Jersey Sunday Herald, Star Ledger, WSUS Radio, WNNJ Radio. It is also posted on the bulletin board maintained in the Administrative Center for public announcements and has been submitted to the Sussex County Clerk in compliance with said act. I have a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Motion by Patillo.
Second.
Second by Lazaro. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The agenda is approved. Executive session, closed session. Resolution regarding providing for an executive closed session not open to the public in accordance with the provisions of NJSA 10:4-12 at second. Whereas the subject matter is about to be discussed may be excluded from the public portion of the meeting by resolution of the Board of Chosen Freeholders as an exception to the quote Open Public Meetings Act end quote pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12B. And whereas it appears necessary for the Board of Chosen Freeholders to discuss such matters in executive session, now therefore be resolved that the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Sussex, in accordance with the provisions of NJSA 10:4-12B and NJSA 10:4-13, that the Board at this time enter into an executive session from which the public shall be excluded, and be it further resolved that the general nature of the subjects to be discussed relate to the following items authorized by NJSA 10:4-12B as designated below. Matters related to litigation, negotiations, and attorney-client privilege, specifically potential litigation for solar project. Be it further resolved that the deliberations conducted in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Sussex County Board of Chosen Freeholders or provided by law. The public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. And be it further resolved that upon completion of the business for which the board has entered into executive session, the board shall reconvene and resume its meeting open to the public. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Lazar.
Second.
Second by Patillo. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Lazaro.
Yes.
Freeholder Patillo.
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rose.
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley.
Yes. You gonna stay here or go in there?
Yeah, well, there.
Okay.
The hallway, like a little
Can I have a
thing on the
motion to
wall.
return from executive session and return to regular order business?
So moved.
Motion by Lazaro.
Second.
Second by Graham. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Lazaro.
Yes.
Freeholder Patillo.
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rose.
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley.
Proclamations, certificates, and presentations. Proclamation recognition of Eagle Scout Tyler Shore. I have a motion to approve the proclamation. Motion by Lazar, second by Graham. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Proclamation approved. That proclamation will be presented on July 28th in the Warnage Library, not here this evening. Presentations. NJDOT Western Highlands Scenic Byway Plan. We have a person here for that presentation. Please come up. Bill, just before you begin, can you please speak loud and clear into the microphone and introduce you and all your associates here, both the Freeholder Board and to members of the public?
Yes, good evening. Bill Coppenall, County Engineer. I'm here tonight with Pam Legault. She's with WSP, who is a consultant for the New Jersey Department of Transportation, and they've been working on the corridor management plan for the Western Highlands Scenic Byway. And in a minute, I'll turn it over to Pam, but before I go there, I just wanted to kind of give you a little framework and some of the history on where we've been as a county in our involvement in this particular project. So the Western Highlands Scenic Byway includes two primary, or includes a primary route that goes on County Route 515 in the township of Hardiston and Vernon. Begins up at State Route 23, runs down to Vernon Town Center. When it gets into Town Center, the primary route continues along State Route 94 up to the New York State line. The additional to the primary corridor, it also includes a loop corridor, which when you're down in the town center, where 515 meets Route 94, it will follow Route 94 south, goes down there where it traverses along 517 north onto County Route 644, and then ties back into the primary route just on the northerly side of Vernon Town Center on 94. The original nomination for this particular byway came from the Vernon Historic Society, I believe back in 2010 timeframe, and received endorsements by both the Township of Vernon and the Township of Hardiston. In 2010, the County Board of Freeholders authorized or supported creation of the Western Highlands Scenic Byway. And as recent as March of this year, the board reaffirmed their support for not only the byway, but also the loop portion of the byway. The county has been working in collaboration with DOT and their consultant through the development of the corridor management plan and the signing plan, as well as Alice Breeze from the Division of Planning has been a member of the steering committee that was formed to really help guide the direction of the byway development. In the next, the consultant is pretty well complete with the corridor management plan. So once the corridor management plan has been finalized, it will then be presented to the Board of Freeholders, really looking to obtain your support of that particular plan. The other component of this that the board will see at some point in the future will be a byway sign management agreement between the county and New Jersey Department of Transportation. Pam is with us tonight. She's really had the lead on this and go into a lot more detail on the history and the specifics of the byway as well as the corridor management plan.
Well, thank you very much, Bill, and thank you for this opportunity to talk about this plan that we've been working on for a little more than a year. I'm going to hand out our draft brochure for marketing the plan. It has a map on the back so you can see the route that Bill was describing. Today we'd like to tell you a little bit about the background of the plan, present our recommendations in an overview format, talk about how we might pay for the recommendations, and then what happens next. And we'll have a chance for your questions. So it's one of 8 New Jersey scenic byways, the 8th to be approved. It was formally designated in 2014. We really appreciate the county's help with the endorsements and with lending us the support of Alice Breeze, Bill Campanall, and others to help us all the technical side of developing the plan. It's been a tremendous asset for us. The New Jersey Scenic Byway Program began as an offshoot of the federal program that's all over the country, and we follow the guidelines of that program because some of the byways have graduated to be America's roads. They have a sort of a higher status that makes them part of a national system of the most developed byways. So we followed those requirements in case that's an option you want to consider in the future. Some of the benefits of being a byway, I would say economic development, tourism, it become a catalyst for tourism, an organizing principle for visitors to the area. You get byway signs from the New Jersey DOT, they fabricate the signs, and then become eligible for various kinds of funding. This is the route, which is also in the back of your handout. As Bill said, there's a spine that goes north-south, goes to the New York State border, and then there's a loop that goes around through the resort area and downtown Vernon and back in the spine. We look at 6 different types of characteristics when we do these byway plans. And we emphasize the ones we think are strongest. We think for this byway, it's the historic and the recreational features that really stand out. Historic from in the south, the Stockholm United Methodist Church. It's outstanding church with National Register Historic Place status. You know, all the way through there are traces of different layers of history, very significant. Recreational, everything from the Appalachian Trail to skiing opportunities, and I think we counted about 12 different sports that could be done in the area. So outstanding recreational assets. The plan we started about a year ago, a little over a year ago, and we'll finish up in September. So we're now in the final phase. We'll be talking as well to Vernon Township and Hardison Township Councils in August. And then we will put together the final version. We've done a lot of outreach. Our committee was very active, met 8 times, represented a lot of different types of civic interests, led by the Vernon Township Historical Society. I'd just like to recognize some of the committee members who are here tonight: Jesse Palladini, Doreen Edwards, and Suzanne Ishii. Appreciate all their help. We've interviewed a lot of people. We've held 2 public meetings, some community events, and now the local officials briefings. These are some of the stakeholders we've talked with. I won't go through the whole list, but I've either done telephone interviews or sit down with the County Chamber of Commerce, the New York, New Jersey Trails Conference, the Warianda State Park, those are some of the ones. We did 6 different types of technical studies. I won't go into them all, but we did do a safety screening of the entire byway to see if there were any areas that might have safety issues. Generally speaking, they did not. And as Bill mentioned, we put together a sign location plan where we think the byway signs should be. So we have 6 categories of recommendations. We have over 60 recommendations, so I'll just highlight a few tonight. And I guess copies of the plan will be available electronically if any of the freeholders want to review in more detail. They should up to you? Or?
Yeah, we will disseminate a copy of the plan and probably post it up on our website as a link.
Okay. So the categories of recommendations that I'll go over briefly are landscape enhancement, historic character, transportation and safety, sighting and navigation, interpretive strategies, and tourism, marketing, and visitor services. Landscape enhancement. One of the things that makes a surprising difference is the ability to manage sign clutter. In some areas this was in good shape. In other areas there were a lot of unauthorized signs along the road which aren't allowed. And both of the municipalities have code enforcement efforts, but the more that can be done, the better and more scenic the view will be. Another one to point out is the opportunity to use landscaping to screen some of the visual detractors. We're thinking in particular some of the large parking lots by the resorts, if there could be some landscaping in front. It might be just a more attractive ride. And this is an electrical station, same kind of thing. And then that divider approaching Vernon Center. That's an opportunity for maybe some aesthetic treatments to make it a more suitable gateway entering into the town. In terms of the historic character, we're suggesting investigating the feasibility of restoring some of the historic stone walls. This can make a tremendous difference as people drive through in evoking the sense of the past and farming history. We don't know how much would be involved in doing this or the cost. We're suggesting a pilot project. Pick one area to try this. So that's one of the things that could be done along those lines. Another thing is just encouraging compatible redevelopment as Vernon redevelops its redevelopment areas. I was impressed with the design guidelines that are in place in the township. Very strong and really encourage. There's a very attractive pharmacy as an example of what's already happening there, but encouraging more of the same. And then another thing would be investigating the potential to form a historic farming district in Vernon. And this photo, I don't know if you can make it out, is of cows crossing Route 94 in 1912. On their way back, I guess, from pasture to be milked. They look kind of big and round. They've been eating all day. And that's in a dairy farm that's still there. But the road character has changed tremendously, of course.
I think so.
The next category, transportation and safety. The biggest item here, we think, is some kind of a pedestrian crossing improvement where the Appalachian Trail crosses Route 94. In the upper photo there, you can see people running across the road, hikers running across. The bottom shows a possible treatment that has been done in another trail crossing in New Jersey. This particular treatment involves a flashing beacon you may have seen. The pedestrian pushes a button. It doesn't stop the traffic, it's not a traffic signal, but it provides a little more warning than just seeing a pedestrian sign. So that's one possible treatment. Another would simply be just a really good job of marking the crosswalk and have some advanced signage. Other transportation improvements would be to consider the possibility of new transit connections, whether it's New York-oriented transit to help tourists get out here who maybe don't have a car, or maybe a hiker shuttle. And our committee suggested that maybe there's a possibility for a new type of hiker shuttle with the Uber-style services that are out there now. Maybe it doesn't have to be, a scheduled service with somebody on a payroll, but it could be something that hiker gets there and they place a call, someone can get them. And that would be to bring them in, whether to Vernon or elsewhere, and the county take advantage of some of the services that are there. We are also recommending supporting pedestrian improvements and connections to future greenways and rails, so people can use other modes of transportation. And also the creation of some pull-off areas. We found that there's an issue, particularly in Hardiston and in the southern part of the byway in Vernon, that if you're trying to enjoy and explore the byway, and you're mixing with commuters who know the road really well, they don't want to slow down for you. And I experienced that myself. If I was trying to do an inventory for this project or take a photo, I was just really in everybody's way. So we thought maybe creating some pull-offs, and there on the right is an example of one of those in the Adirondacks on a similar road. As far as the signs, there's very specific guidelines that the New Jersey DOT has for these signs. There's three types of signs that you'll be likely to see. One is, on the left, is the logo for this byway, with the red tail hawk, and a directional arrow. That's probably the main one that you'd see. Then when you're on that loop part of the route, there'd be this little additional placard that would say loop. And then when you're at an entrance to the byway, and you're first emerging onto the byway, you would get the name sign so you know what this is. So, you have a question, Bill?
No.
Oh, no, okay. The next category of recommendations is interpretive strategies. And we think here we can build on the work that the Vernon County Historical Society has done. They've got a lot of existing programs. Some of them are annual events. There's a number of key themes that we can emphasize in these materials, including the agricultural history, the Revolutionary War, the Native American culture, and geology as well. And one of our big recommendations is developing a mobile application with audio tours for different interests. So if you come in with your family and you're just looking for fun activities to do, it might send you to the Treescape Aerial Park. If you're a history buff, we tell you to check out Price's Switch Schoolhouse. And so we create itineraries for these different types of interests to be able to pull them up on a mobile device. And the real beauty of this, the technology now exists that the app could talk to you as you drive. So you'd be hands-free, just like your GPS. It says, turn left, but then it tells you what you're seeing. And you will see the old sea captain's house where the rail car truck was invented, and tell you a little bit about that. So you get that narrative as you travel. And a real asset for that in this particular byway is there are not that many places to stop and pull over. And also some of the most interesting features they just go by in a blink of an eye. So having a device that's telling you, hey, you're just going by this, or you come up to the Cisco Hill with the beautiful vista of the mountains, it will tell you, pay attention, you're going to be going down a steep hill, but you're going to see, it will tell you the names of the mountains, things like that. So this is very doable and doesn't have to cost a lot. And we think this is one of the exciting things that we could do. Also a virtual tour. It's a little hard to see, but for the Upper Freehold farmland byway in Monmouth County, they have developed a virtual tour on their website. This lets somebody check out the byway before they come, so if they want to make the trip. And it also allows people who aren't able to travel to virtually participate and see what you have to offer. But that's another recommendation. And then historic visualizations we thought would be an exciting thing to do. This is an example of recreating the look of an older place just with one historic photo, one present day photo. And then this is a simulation of what, this entire complex, this is an example from Maryland, what this complex looked like, the grist mill, the house, the stream. You could do this with one or two of the old farmsteads, where maybe right now all there is foundations of some of the buildings. You could create this for your visitor to see what it was like before.
Is there grant money for that?
Yeah, actually, both the New Jersey Historical Commission and the what's the other one, Jessica?
Historic Preservation Office,
Historical Council?
the Historic Trust.
Historic Trust. There's two major categories of historical grants that could be used for something like this. So this is essentially our last category of recommendation is tourism, marketing, and visitor services. And this, we have a lot of ideas, and they would probably be a need for some kind of a structured organization to carry them forward. We were calling it a tourism council, but a structured organization for that effort, with bylaws, with, maybe a 3-year term, with membership from a broad base, including the business community, and with hopefully some expertise in marketing to be lent to the effort. So that's what we envision as for the tourism piece. A group that would further develop the branding, develop a website, that virtual tour we talked about, that mobile app, and then hopefully create a business partnership program and do some social media marketing. And one idea was selfie stops, which was a whole new concept to me until I heard about it with this process. But identifying places where people can take that photo and send it home. So, as I said before, economic development is a big benefit here, a big, really something that related to tourism, getting people to maybe stay an extra day. They're already here maybe for the resorts, but getting them to stay an extra day, spend some money locally. I think is part of the idea. And then attracting those niche tourists that maybe don't know all you have to offer, but some creative ways of getting them here. And one of the things we thought along those lines was if you could support having an expanded set of lodging, dining, and shopping opportunities. There's a little more going on in the byway corridor. There are some very nice hotels, but they're not a lot in different price ranges. And we also thought there was an opportunity for more camping or even glamping. This is this idea of glamorous camping. You don't have to put up your own tent, it's there for you. So we thought Sussex County is really right for that. And people were
And you're talking about putting it on this property?
What property?
The pathway here, the Western Highlands Scenic Road.
Oh, I haven't figured out where it should go. Do you have any suggestions?
They don't know where it's gonna go.
Well, I think it's a farmer.
This is a
It's a
farce.
farmer who is not making a lot of revenues from his or her farm. And they are gonna invite people to come camp there, and then maybe have a farm to table. That's what we're envisioning. People in New York City are really hungry for that
Stone
particular
or
type of
flat, ones that
experience.
were built in the 1700s, come down and farm and take away.
Yeah,
Have you spoken to Tammy Worsfield?
we did.
You
We
did?
did. We spent a whole afternoon with her. She was very helpful. And our last point here, because there aren't a ton of restaurants on this particular byway, and because some byway visitors are focused on what food is available, we thought we could have a picnic theme, a little different from some of the other byways, where you maybe get a lot of participating groceries or delis, or offer a special sandwich, maybe offer a discount, and then maybe have some themed picnic tables at different locations. Just an idea, something that could be done quickly, easily, and pretty cheap. Funding sources for the transportation could be the DOT local aid program, the Transportation Alternatives Program. There's a lot of categories under that TAP program that are relevant, including beautification, landscaping, removal of outdoor advertising, a number of things. The two that we just talked about, the New Jersey Historic Trust and Historical Commission, they offer a lot of different kinds of grants that are relevant here, as well as the New Jersey Division of Travel and Tourism has cooperative marketing grants. And finally, the Highlands Council, they told me that Sussex County and the two townships are all eligible to pursue what they call economic development planning grants, for which tourism is eligible, or even market studies of tourism. So the next steps then are, we'll make similar presentations to tonight to the two townships. We'll be asking, as Bill mentioned, for your support and theirs, and finalize the planned document for approval by the State Scenic Byway Committee. And then, once there's an approved plan, hope to continue the partnerships that we've started and start the implementation process. So with that, I can take questions if there's time. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Is that the name of now the road, the Western Highlands? Is that picked or that's a suggested name?
That's been picked as the name of the byway. It doesn't replace the name of the roads that are there that make it up.
Is it rooted in anything? Because I've never heard this area referred to as Western Highlands.
I'm gonna have to ask.
Well, we are the Highlands, and we are the western portion of the Highlands. So that's where we came up with the name Western Highlands Scenic Byway. You know, this area is really synonymous with the Highlands.
And sometimes it's called the Skylands, so it's.
I would think Skylands is
Yeah.
our marketing name. You know, I think Skylands is got a lot more residents and
Okay.
brings a hell of a lot better.
Oh, Skylands.
And that's
Skylands.
Skylands. And it's in our literature. it's in so much of our marketing, and you're gonna lose that synergy.
I wonder if they mean the same thing, Highlands,
Well,
Islands.
That's a good point, that's a good point, but the name is already chosen and it's on everything, so.
Well, not yet, you haven't really rolled it
Well, no,
out.
I'm saying.
It's
the
not on the
state of
signs
New
yet,
Jersey.
that's true. Well, thanks for the comment. Yes.
Are there any studies that have been done that proven that these scenic byways and these apps and stuff like that actually provide economic growth to the communities that they're in? I'm not familiar, I've never heard of one of these, so I really don't know.
There isn't as much data as we would like to have. There is some, there's some data on how much, the average byway visitor spends. And the average byway visitor stays longer and spends more than other tourists, but I don't have like a total of what you can expect. But right now, New Jersey DOT is doing an interesting study. They actually have a marketing consultant on board. We all went to a workshop with their consultant, and they're trying to do some specific measurements around New Jersey to see how many people who have come to attractions on each of these byways are there for the byway. So we'll begin to establish that data. Yeah.
Why do people want to pay for corporations that have parking lots? Why would I want to pay with my tax dollars through granting or through my town to take on the expense of putting full-grown trees to do the blockage of anywhere?
Yeah, and I'm not saying it would necessarily be a public expense. It might be something that, there are a number of parking lots at shopping centers that are slated for redevelopment. And I'm thinking that as a developer comes in, that might be something that they would do, and they probably would be required to do it if they're in Vernon by Vernon's design guidelines. So I'm not necessarily.
Well, the one you mentioned,
Yeah.
just how did that work? The one that you mentioned, you mentioned a specific parking lot at a resort.
Yeah.
How would that happen?
No, that's a good point. That might have to be some kind of a partnership with the resort, if they're willing to be a part of this effort.
But the resorts are already benefiting anyway. Like you keep saying, people would stay longer at the resorts. That's not economic for everybody. The average taxpayer is not benefiting. They have
No, I
more
see what you're
traffic,
saying.
they have more road.
I see what you're saying, and it might not be feasible, it might not be a priority.
But who does it benefit?
Who does it benefit if it's done?
The whole project, who does it benefit?
Well, the idea of the project is it benefits both the residents through having a higher quality of life, really, and it benefits, as taxpayers, it benefits you to have, more visitation. So it's both components, really.
And beautification.
It sounds like you're not convinced.
Hell no.
Well, no, I'm seeing the corporations it's a corporate plan. It's not saying that you're doing anything for the citizens that are along the Western Highlands. You may be purchasing some land that you invest time into making, like that stop that was there where you had the grist mill and the farming house and the waterway. So that one person may get their land bought, but I don't see a buy-in for the average citizens of the town unless you could say their property values are going to go up with this, but you can prove that to make sense why there would be a buy-in. Otherwise, we're making more business for the hotels.
But that certainly isn't the intent.
I understand that, and I like beauty. Beauty's all good.
Yeah.
But there's no aren't there any natural, oh gosh, I would think in the wrong place, but they have waterfalls that are going on in some places that could use, parking lots added to them or different things that the people who live nearby would take advantage of.
One
There's
example
nothing in it
would be this Appalachian Trail crossing of 94. That we think that would be a safety enhancement, and also in that same area we're encouraging expansion of parking lot there.
Running trails? Are you going to be putting in running trails for the locals?
Well, we're not putting in running trails along these roads, but one of our recommendations is to include stops if there are other trails, so that a person can get out of their car and enjoy that kind of facility.
And I'm concerned about accidents because you're saying they come up quick and they're gone. So it would have to be done very well to not cause accidents.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks. Yeah.
Not knowing where your funding is coming from at this point in time, do you have any idea what this project guesstimated, not estimated, guesstimated cost is gonna be?
You know, we don't, because each of the recommendations is in a different level of development at this point. I mean, some of them are very general, some of them are more specific, and you could estimate them. It's not really a project, it's a package of potential projects.
Yeah, but
And
don't you think
could
it would be
implement
good-
them individually. Some of the things could be done for no money, some of the things could be done for a couple $1,000s. Some of the individual components could cost more, like $50,000. You know, it depends on what the, going forward, it really depends on what the committee picks to do, and what they can secure funding for.
Don't you think it would be a good idea for the part that has to be funded to have some type of dollar and cent figure on it? I mean, it seems to me there's gonna be a lot of money in the county has to be spent through
really,
federal, state, or whatever.
There really is no required element except for the signs. The only requirement on the county is to participate in the maintenance of the signs. The signs are fabricated by the DOT, and they're usually installed by the DOT or the county, but there would be the requirement for the maintenance of the signs. That's really the only requirement. Everything else is voluntary. And the whole idea of the program is that it is a voluntary grassroots program. Most of these byways are still run by volunteer committees around New Jersey, dedicated people, historical societies. They're doing what they can, just biting off a piece at a time. It might be, creating a welcome center that's open once a week or once a month to learn about the area. It might be starting up a website, and they can be done at very low budget. I mean, the opportunities are, really something that has to be defined more. Yeah, Jesse?
I just want to add to that, to the gentleman's question. The Vernon Historical Society has generated hundreds and thousands of dollars in grant money from state agencies for all kinds of things. And we also raise funds and do things as volunteers that draw people into our community. So just as Pam said, it's volunteer effort. We have literally gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars in grants from New Jersey Historic Trust, from the New Jersey Historical Commission. We even got grants from the History Channel. So, all these things that we're doing. We got a grant from the History Channel that created the curriculum on Lenape Indians in New Jersey for all of Vernon Township.
Lonnie Lenape. Good point. But you're talking about a project that's going to start in the southern tip of New Jersey to the New York state line. And I couldn't even throw out a figure on
But
what.
it's only going to go through Hardiston and Vernon. That's
Oh,
it.
just Hardiston, excuse me.
And
I
we're
stand
not building a new
corrected.
road.
Yeah.
We're not building anything, we're not building a new road, we're just
Like 19
celebrating
miles,
the roads
right?
we have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's no road construction involved. So, other questions?
With none, thank you for
Thank you so much.
your coming here and giving us a presentation. We'll be following this closely as it moves along.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Is Jackie Espinoza here? I did not see her, so I guess, is anyone else from JCP now here? We have one less presentation to sit through. Public session from the floor. Please note everyone is asked to keep their comments to 5 minutes or less and only address issues regarding agenda items, followed by a 3-minute response time from the freeholder board. Please state your name and bring your name and municipalities on the sign-in sheet. Please speak loud and clear into the microphone. These meetings are being recorded. I have a motion to open the floor to the public. Motion by Graham, second by Patillo. Discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed? The ayes have it. The floor is open to the public. Seeing no one from the public, can I have a motion to close the hearing? Motion by Patillo. Second by Yardley. Discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed? The ayes have it. Freeholder comments. Freeholder Yardley?
Yeah. Busy week. Gary Sedano was liaison with Jerry, and had a nice meeting. And he did mention that a trend, and I'll have a report on it by the end of the year. What we're seeing is that there's a lot more seniors without family up here. We're seeing a lot more of that, and so there's been more assistance that needed to be provided. So that's the millennials moving out. It's been a little harder for many of the seniors of the county. Was at the Claire meeting, and I guess Sue can make some comments on that. Just to say, it was a great event. Congratulations to Anne-Marie Cathy, who won the Star, what was that, the Star Award. Doris Spicer from Dance Taxi, and Tammy Horsfield in the Chamber. This was the event, the CLEAR second annual report, and CLEAR, the Sussex County Committee, the Law Enforcement Addiction Recovery Program. And one thing that I wanted to note is that recovery coaches responded to 137 calls, and 82% of the patients are engaged in treatment or recovery support services. It's a very good program. Attorney General was up here, and he spoke. So it was a great event. Met with the Chamber, reviewing some of the events that are going on up at the fairgrounds, and the open Sussex County Fairgrounds, and that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yoder. Freeholders.
Very briefly, the weather may have just changed this whole thing. The county striping program is or has begun. I don't know if it got interrupted permanently or indefinitely, but it includes 69 miles of restriping for a total of $439,000, approximately $6,300 a mile. And 100% of this is from county operating funds. There's no funding or grant from that. This is our taxpayer dollars that are going to do this, and they will be restriping and the roadways in just about every community: Sparta, Myrtle Grove, Kemo Lake, Old Creamery, Lewisburg, Springdale, Andover, Lake Mohawk, Newton, Halsey, Branchville, Whitetown, Kemo Lake, Hagerty, Beamer Church Road. So Vernon sections of Glenwood. So that it covers the whole county, and the intent is to start at the northern section of the county and move all the way down south. So be aware of that. You're going to see the vehicles on the roadway, and it's going to require caution because there's a kind of a line of vehicles that go through there. So please be careful there. That's all I have right now. Oh, one other thing. I didn't get a chance to read all this because I just got it today, but there was a petition that was presented concerning the Lewisburg Road and McCoy's Corner, stuff up there. We have received it. We will review it and discuss it with engineering and see what can be done about it and where we can go with it. But that's all I have at this time.
Thank you, Freehold. Freeholder Grant.
A couple weeks ago, I had a couple of comments that I had in my comments. I had called for a public meeting on the future of the Sussex County 911 Dispatch Center. And I wanted to tell you that I support the 911 Center. There's a lot of money and a lot of time, years and years of effort, years of good effort has gone into it. But I think it's time that we open this up to the public completely. And when I say the public, I mean every single municipality in Sussex County needs to be aware of what we have, what we've done, where we've gone. We also have to reevaluate where we might be going. The Sussex County Communications Center came online in 1990. It really started out as a communication center strictly for the Sheriff's Department. And they handled the PSAP calls that dealt with the Sheriff's Department. Since then, we've taken on 911 answering emergency dispatches for Branchville, Byram, Frankfurt, Freedom, Green, Hampton, Lafayette, Montague, Sandston, Stillwater, and Walpack. In 1995, the Communications Center began to staff and run operations continuously. And as they did that, they moved into dispatching for the Sussex County Prosecutor's Office, Fire Marshal, Hazmat Team, and Medical Examiner's Office, Department of Public Works, Facilities Department, Health Department, and the Office of Emergency Management. New Jersey continues to encourage us to consolidate our public safety answering points, which is public safety answering points, which is PSAPs. So when I say PSAPs, that's what it means. In the interest of efficiency and economy, there are also technology changes being introduced. The next generation 911 was announced as the replacement for the current enhanced 911, and discussions were held relating to financial impacts for PSAPs. We've already moved into that area. As an aside into that, the New Jersey Association of Counties has made it well documented. The state of New Jersey collects annually from consumers approximately $120 million in telecommunications surcharges as the 911 system and emergency response fees, and deposits these monies into the 911 system into a trust fund. In fact, the state has collected approximately $1.3 billion in fees since 2006, with only 11% of those fund monies ever being spent on eligible expenses reported directly to the Federal Communications Commission. Moreover, the state has failed to provide any funding for eligible expenses to fund the 911 centers operated by counties and municipalities, and instead diverted the fund dollars to cover general operating expenses for the Department of Law and Public Safety. I bring that up because as we go forward, we have to take into consideration how we're going to fund these PSAP centers. We are always going to have the PSAP centers, whether they are operated by municipalities or they're operated by counties, or in some cases are coming right straight through the state. If you have state police, they still have to be taken care of. On the website, the sheriff's website, there's a very, very good layout of what has happened in the past and where things are today, and including a number of studies. Now, what I'm asking for is a public meeting by early October. And in that meeting, I'm even suggesting that it be done at the tech school and the theater end of things, to provide that all the towns come in and let us present what is there. This isn't a dog and pony show. We have done a lot of these. On May the 30th, the sheriff presented an open house, and he has done this on a regular basis. What I'm saying is, we can't play one town against the other, and that is somewhat what has been done in the past. We offer good prices to some towns if you come in now, and maybe it might be more later on. We are all in. The county, this is what costs in the county no matter what we do now. I'm saying that also in that early October deadline, I'm hoping that by Labor Day, we'll have a full understanding of our financials regarding the 911 center. Now, those financials would be what it costs, how much we put into it by now, how much we put into it in capital, how much we have to put into it in capital. Because bringing in a town for $100,000 or $80,000 or $40,000 when we have to put in $1 million of capital, we have to rethink this. All these municipalities that have their own PSAPs are putting this money in now, but they're also up against the same deadlines about the next generations. Whether it makes sense or it doesn't make sense, it's time for us to look at it all together. Holistically, empirically, look at all at one time. Give the county, the municipalities, the existing PSAPs, and the taxpayers the opportunity to better understand what we have. All of the documents, I'm looking at my cameraman right now, Thor, all the documents that are presently provided on the website, the sheriff's website, under about the 911 center, if those could be put onto our website also so that people can go to our website and see it. There are studies that are taken from 2006, 2008, 2011, as late as 2016. We have not gone into this blindly. What we may have done is marketed it a little bit less than we should have. And I think we have to look at it in a lot more of a, again, like I said, more of a holistic manner. I don't want to see us going on in the future playing one town against the other. It's been done before. I'm from Stanhope, and Stanhope moved from Hopatcong to Sparta because Sparta had gotten Byram, and then they turned to us and said, well, Hopatcong is going out of business. Hopatcong never went out of business. Well, we're sort of doing the same thing. It's not fair to Newton and Andover and all the other towns that have their own PSAPs. So what I'm advocating, very strongly advocating, is that we find a formula that allows for us to put all the information out there, have another meeting behind that, to answer the questions that may be brought up. I think we should be able to take questions from the public, questions from the municipalities. I think every one of the municipalities should be encouraged to send somebody there, whether they're in our system or in somebody else's system, to basically get a better idea about what we have. Right now, the other PSAPs are Sparta, Vernon, Hardiston, Andover Township, Newton, and Hopatcong. I will finish off with where I started. I am not against this system. I just feel that in terms of marketing, and in terms of better understanding and efficiencies and how much it costs the taxpayer, I think it's important that we look at it as one big issue instead of a bunch of towns that may go with us, may not go with us. It's not the way to be done. I encourage the sheriff to help us in giving this presentation in October, but I do also want to put a lot of pressure on the Treasury Department to provide us with the numbers that we need to give real solid answers as to what this costs, what it may cost, and then maybe other towns can also look at their own situations and find out what it costs for them. That's primarily what I have to say. I do want to just quickly jump in on a couple of things on health and human services. Primarily, Senior Day is on Thursday, August 9th at the fair. Senior Day is the best day of the fair. Plus there's the great chicken lunch. And the health department always goes through and has communicable disease investigations. Last month, July, just in the first 2 weeks of July, 52 reportable diseases, of which 34 are Lyme disease or Lyme disease connected. So I'll leave the rest of that stuff for you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Freeholder Deputy Director Patel.
Yes, I just want to mention, many of us were at that meeting that celebrated CLEAR's second anniversary. CLEAR is an amazing program that started actually with the Newton Police Department, and it has grown throughout Sussex County and is now really a model for all of the state of New Jersey. We were celebrating 2 years of reaching out and having different ways and different programs for counseling for people in recovery, people that have failed in recovery, people who want to get back in recovery, for families. And they have worked in such a way that they have brought an entire community together. So every part of our community, the medical part, the law enforcement part, the political part, each Drug and Alcohol Alliance has a place there, the towns are there, all the people that really make decisions and have authority and position in our county are now sitting at a table, working together, trying to find out how to extend services and make sure that recovery is available when it is needed. And normally it is needed in emergency situations. You can now walk into many of our police departments and say, I'm addicted, I want recovery, and the first thing they'll do is get you a recovery coach. Now they've expanded, and the recovery coaches can go into the hospitals, they can go into the jails. One of the speakers at this meeting, and I have the greatest respect for her, one of our coaches called Katie Kovaka got up and she spoke. And it was very interesting to hear her speak about her past, of which she was not proud of, a time when she was addicted to drugs. Yet it was that addiction that enabled her to have the opportunity to have the job as a recovery coach that now helps her go out and work with people that had the same type of a problem that she had. She is definitely a success story, but she, just as a person, is an absolute amazing young woman. We're so happy to have her involved with CLEAR. The new initiative with CLEAR are these little stickies, and on it says, want to stop using drugs? We can help. 1-844-SC-CLEAR. The problem with any program, any service that we offer, is marketing that service. It is so difficult to get information out to people about this program, yet it is one of the most needed programs in not just our county, but nationwide. We're hoping that these will go in schools, in bathrooms, on mirrors, in hallways, in libraries, in businesses, any area where there's public access where people can see this and can write down that name and realize, wow, let me make that phone call. Maybe there really is help for me. And the truth is there really is now. We have it in place, and for the first time, we're able to fight back against this drug addiction. If you are interested in helping us get these out, you can call the CLEAR program. It's on our internet, on our website, or the number here is 973-383, which is Newton's number, 4787. So it's 383-4787. We could use your help to get these. We want to know where they're going. We want to make sure we get them out in all the municipalities, and hopefully people will read them and make that phone call, because we are there and they are ready to really respond. It's been an absolute wonderful program, and I as always want to compliment Newton Police Department, who started it with Becky Carlson. And Becky Carlson, God bless her, has been sounding that alert throughout Sussex County and giving drug education programs since 2000. And now there's actually a chance to fight back. So it was a wonderful meeting, and we have a lot to celebrate. We still have a long road to go, and your help will help us get there, so thank you. I do want to mention that Senior Day at the fair is a great day, and we all have a wonderful time. The fair opens on Friday, August 3rd, and we hope that you'll come. There's so many different activities. I've done, I think, every year of my life, but, well, for as long as it was, not every year of my life. And every year I find something else of interest for myself, and I don't know how I miss it, because it's probably there the year before, but there's just so much to take in and so many activities for all the different ages, so we hope that you will come. Also, as far as the health screening clinics, the New Jersey Seed Program is going to have a women's health screening clinic on Friday, August 3rd, up at Wheatswork in the health department from 8 to 12. And the New Jersey Seed Program will have an outreach at the Sparta Food Pantry Friday, July 27th from 12 to 1 as well. There's also our monthly municipality conference call, which will be this Wednesday. And this Wednesday, they'll be talking about presentations on National Immunization Month and the importance of immunizations to prevent diseases in children and adults. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholders, please review the consent agenda. The Board of Children Freeholders of the County of Sussex has reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions and determined that adoption of the said resolutions is in and will further the public interest. If any freeholder would like to remove an item to be considered separately, please do so now.
I request we remove item M and vote on it separately.
Item F separately. Anyone else? Could I have a motion to approve consent agenda items A through L?
Board.
Motion by Graham, second by Patillo. Discussion? Mr. Tom?
Yes, Mr. Director. The first resolution, A, provides for an amendment of an existing agreement that the county has for social services for the homeless. These grant funds will be used to provide short-term assistance for rental, utility, and security deposits, as well as emergency shelter services in the event of a homeless situation. Resolution B, these are grant funds that will be inserted into the county budget for homeless and at risk of homeless families in Sussex County, families and individuals in Sussex County. Resolution C provides for the insertion of grant monies that will provide for comprehensive and coordinated delivery system for social and nutritional services pursuant to the Older Americans Act. Resolution D provides for the cancellation of federal grant reserve balance for these Title III grants that are part of the 2017 area plan contract between the county and the Division of Aging. Resolution E provides for the carrying over of unexpended funds from the same area plan contract that will be used in 2018. Resolution F provides for a grant for alternative sanctions and an alternative sanctions program and services for juveniles that are adjudicated or charged as delinquent, and promotes the prevention of juvenile delinquency. Resolution G provides monies for 11 municipal alliance committees that represent 21 of the 24 municipalities within Sussex County. Those funds will be used for almost 90 programs that are planned throughout the grant period. Resolution H provides for the authorization to submit an application for 2 vehicles. The vehicles are medium-duty vehicles with a capacity of 24 plus 1 wheelchair, and also provide for mobility management application that is used by the county's transit system. Resolution I provides for change order to the architectural services for Bridge X09. This has been reviewed and recommended by the county engineer due to the complexity of the project and the additional services needing to be rendered. Resolution J provides for commodity resale system, which the county uses in cooperation with a number of municipal governments for the provision of fuel and salt storage. Resolution K allows for the amendment of the county substance abuse policy that we are required to have as a result of operating our transit system, and designates 2 of our employees as the designated employer representatives responsible for the oversight of the county's drug policy. Resolution L is for professional services agreement between the County of Sussex and James Lott of Riker Danzig to provide special transactional counsel services for the Office of County Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Any further comments? Roll call, please.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Lazaro?
Yes.
Freeholder Patillo?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rose?
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley?
Yes.
I have a motion to approve Resolution N.
Yeah. Motion.
Motion by Graham,
Second.
second by Patil. Discussion.
This is a resolution authorizing professional service agreement with Gary Kramer Esquire to provide legal services for the Office of the County Clerk through the Office of County Counsel.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Lazaro?
Abstain.
Freeholder Patillo?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rose?
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley?
Yes.
Motion carries. Approval of minutes. I have a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from July 11, 2018.
I'll motion.
Motion by Graham,
Second.
second by Patil. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. I have a motion to approve the minutes from the executive session held on July 11, 2018.
So moved.
Motion by Patil, second by Graham. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Appointments and or resignations. Resolution regarding appointing Morris County Medical Examiner D. Wang, MD, PhD, as the Sussex County Medical Examiner. Can I have a motion? Motion to approve same. Motion by Graham.
Second.
Second by Patillo. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Lazaro?
Yes.
Freeholder Patillo?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rose?
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley?
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution regarding providing temporary closure of County Route 613 in Sparta Township for the 3rd annual Askin and Hooker Labor Day 5K event.
So moved.
Motion by Lazar.
Second.
Second by Graham. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. Awards of contract change orders bid. Resolution. Freeholders, please review the awards of contract change orders and bids. When satisfied, please make a motion to pass. Same.
So moved.
Motion by Patillo, second by Graham. Discussion.
Yes, these are both resolutions of award. One first is for contract extension for ice control materials, rock salt, and snow grid. The county will be purchasing rock salt at a price of $52.32 per ton under this agreement. And then the second resolution is a contract extension to Winter Technologies for the purchasing of calcium chloride de-icing materials that are used by the Division of Facilities Management.
Thank you, Mr. Pop. Any further comments? Roll call, please.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Lazaro?
Yes.
Freeholder Patillo?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rose?
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley?
Yes.
A resolution regarding the payments of bills from Bill List A. Can I have a motion to approve same?
Move to extend.
Second.
Motion by Lazaro, second by Graham. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Lazaro.
Yes.
Freeholder Patillo.
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rose.
Abstain.
Freeholder Yardley.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution regarding payment of bills from Bill List B. Can I have a motion to approve same?
So moved.
Motion by Patillo.
Second.
Second by Lazaro. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Lazaro.
Yes.
Freeholder Patillo.
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rose.
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley.
Yes.
Personnel, there's 2 items on the personnel agenda. Please make a motion to approve same.
So moved.
Motion by Patillo.
Second.
Second by Graham. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Freeholder Graham.
Hey, roll call. This is personal.
Yeah.
Roll call.
Next, ceremony, please.
Is that how it's done? It's the first time we're just going through roll call.
I defer to the clerk.
We haven't voted on personnel. Okay. Yes.
We just saw it as a promotion with an increase.
With an increase of salary.
Okay, yes.
Freeholder Graham.
I said yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Freeholder Lazaro.
Yes.
Freeholder Patillo.
Yes.
Freeholder Director Rose.
Yes.
Freeholder Yardley.
Yes.
Motion carries. Administrative report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Director. Sheriff Strada had wanted me to advise the Freeholder Board and also the public about the Communication Center recently assisting Vernon Township due to an issue with a generator within the township. The county's Communication Center was able to provide dispatch service for a period of time, allowing for the restoration of power and allowing people back into the building, including dispatch for one GMS without incident. This is not the first time that the Communications Center has provided assistance to other municipalities, which also include Stanhope Fire as well as Newton Police and Fire. I want to advise the board that I'm working with the Finance Department staff in preparation of operating and capital budget request documents towards the development of the county's 2019 budget, and then also working with engineering and planning staff to develop the internal procedures and paperwork towards the implementation of the Open Space Committee's recommendation for the Trail Grant Program, which was authorized by referendum last year. And that concludes my report.
Mr. Pop, County Council.
Just briefly, please. On the agenda tonight, we had 2 appointments. One was for the clerk's position with Gary Kramer, a longtime attorney in the area. We continued the firm of Breaker Danzig to do some transactional work that we have a pressing need for. And we are continuing to reorganize reconstitute the Office of County Council. I expect that by the August 8th meeting, we will have someone to recommend for APS, for conflict counsel for the sheriff, for the adjuster, and a separate firm for general matters, meaning whatever's left. So just want to keep everyone aware of our progress and make sure that we get it done on August 8th. Thank you.
Just to point out, EPS is Adult Protective Services.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Can we, since you brought that up, you know, I looked at some of the paperwork here, and we have a few acronyms, if we could spell those out. You know, the agendas, things of that nature. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it, Mr. Kelly?
Yep.
Thank you. Any unfinished business? Any new business? Public sessions on the floor. Please note everyone is asked to keep their comments to 5 minutes or less, followed by a 3-minute response time from the Freeholder Board. Please state your name and print your name and municipality on the sign-in sheet on the podium. Also, please speak loud and clear into the microphone. These meetings are being recorded. Can I have a motion? Motion by Graham, second by Patillo. Discussion. All those in favor? Those opposed? The ayes have it. The floor is open to the public.
My name is Ed Sabo. I live in Stillwater. I'm following up on a presentation I made here, I believe in your last meeting, and it was regarding the governor's initiative to legalize marijuana. To summarize, I passed out packages of information to each of you to take a look at and hopefully come to an agreement or a conclusion that this was something you would not support, and perhaps you would prepare a letter, make an amendment to a resolution or whatever to communicate the fact that you do not support this. I'd like to update you on the other activities I've been involved in. I told you what I had planned to do, and to date, I can tell you that I've made this same presentation to my community, the Township of Stillwater. I did the same at the Stillwater School Board of Ed, the Kittatinny Board of Ed, the Technical School Board of Ed, County College, to you folks, and I've been in touch with the elected officials on a state basis to get their understanding and approval. And as a matter of fact, I had just spoken yesterday to Jeff Spatola, who represents our 3 statewide elected officials, Senator Laura Wirths and Space, and they, I was assured, are all in agreement with what I've done so far. I'd like to update you on an angle I think I stressed the last time I was here, that follow the money. This is a very, very big deal. And to give you an update, the Wall Street Journal, Thursday, July 19th, had a full 1-page ad, okay, on the company called Juul, J-U-U-L, who are supporting anti-smoking, and they get involved in vaping, they get involved in all of the abuses that we have all heard about. As a matter of fact, I called the Wall Street Journal yesterday and asked them, because I believe in following the money, what does a full-page ad cost in a Wall Street Journal these days? And I would ask anyone here or in the audience to give me a guess as to what those costs would be. Anybody?
10,000.
Pardon?
10,000.
Let me explain. When I talked to the representative, they said, is it a New York area or is it the entire country? Is it a black and white ad or is it in color? And so I said, well, give me the answers to all of them, which they did. A black and white ad on a national basis, one time, one shot, $277,000.
I was shy.
It's just New York locally, $59,393. If it's color in New York, it goes to $89,000. And if it's nationwide color, believe it or not, $354,823. Just absolutely astounding information. And when you think in terms of the downside of marijuana and pot, all of the things that we've heard about, realize one thing. This company that I just mentioned, Juul, according to the papers yesterday, is currently valued at $15 billion.
Just have 30 seconds left.
Unbelievable numbers. What I did was to make a copy of that full-page ad, and I'd like to present it to you so you can see the details and consider it. If my time is up, I'll be...
10 seconds.
Thank you. I would hope, as a result of this, that you might come to a conclusion. Today's paper showed that the governor is ready to step forward and enact legislation right away. So if you're going to do anything about it, this is the perfect time to. Thank you very much.
Mr. Sable.
Glenn Hull, Sanderson Township. I would like to present to the board my opinion on the July 2nd letter that Jeff Parrott presented to the freeholders. And I have some paperwork I'd like to share with you all. And if you pull the paper clip, you'll find there's two stapled presentations here. I'm going to take it line by line, and I'm saying line 1 is a false statement that Mr. Parrott wrote to this board. I've only come here 4 years, not 9, but I didn't have to come forward until I had written evidence. Okay, line 4 is misleading and false. I visited Mr. Parrott once when he was first appointed acting clerk to his election in 2011. I was seeking how filing and recording procedures work. Nothing more. Mr. Parrott said he would speak to county council and get back to me. On my second visit, Mr. Parrott stated to me that county council directed him not to comment to me regarding the recording of the 1989 quitclaim deed on June 17, 2008. I want you to turn to Sanderson. It's going to be, if you turn to, you'll see a B. That's a Sanderson Township meeting. This is a meeting, it's the recorded minutes from Sanderson Township. It says, Glenn Hull. I don't want to seem rude, but Mr. Parrott isn't necessary. Mr. Jeff Parrott, I have to tell you, sir, that I have had the opportunity to speak on the phone with Dan McConnell, counsel for the county. County counsel indicated that no comment should be made because of pending legislation or litigation. So I cannot comment on it. That's unfortunate. Now this is prior to him being elected. I said, okay. Jeff Parrott then reached over to Irma Gormley, who was at the meeting also, and he said, I would assume the former inaudible would follow this lead. And she did follow the lead. She would not comment either. Now, line 8, Mr. Parrott acknowledges speaking to county council after my first visit. He acknowledges it in his letter. Line 9, I believe this is a misleading statement. Mr. Parrott fails to mention the acceptance requirements for recording the 1989 quitclaim deed as a deed evidencing conveyance of property on 6/17/2008. He only mentions the filed deed, not the recorded deed. It's two separate acts. The quitclaim deed came to the Hall of Records stating no consideration, failed to have a lot and block number, had no supporting evidence of a price, and no affidavit of consideration from either the seller or the buyer. This quitclaim deed was recorded the next day with a fabricated price and a fabricated New Jersey real estate transfer tax and the recording stamp. Only deeds evidencing conveyance of property are charged a New Jersey real estate transfer tax. After recording, this quitclaim deed should have been sent to the Sussex County Board of Taxation for the property ownership name change, since the quitclaim deed was recorded with a New Jersey real estate transfer tax evidencing a conveyance of property. It was not. I want you to see the assessment records. If you'll see M, N, and O in this package I gave you, and that there are no dates of a transfer in that realty index, Sussex County. Okay, line 10. This is a false statement written by Mr. Parrott to you. The Board of Freeholders, Mr. Parrott never informed me of any findings. After my first visit to him, please see Sanderson Township Minutes of 211, page 23, the same thing that I asked you to look at before. I have never been informed by anything by Mr. Parrott. Okay, line 16 and 17. Mr. Parrott clearly acknowledges Matthew, Michelle, and Aaron Hall as defendants listed in civil suit 091303. Why has Mr. Parrott recorded Bonnie Hall as a grantor? She's not listed and civil suit 091303, and has not signed anything. If you see Q, that's where shows Bonnie Hall as a grantor. All right. Why are Matthew, Michelle, and Aaron Hall shown as grantors of the recorded document when there are no signatures or printed names and no lot and block numbers as required on the filed document? The Halls submitted 23 strong objections to the survey produced by the U.S. before this was submitted to the county. The U.S. has no jurisdiction to force Sussex County to violate the New Jersey Recording Act. Line 19, why does Mr. Parrott now recognize his 2014 survey as a right-of-way granted by the Halls when the same property in the 1989 quitclaim deed was recorded in 2008 as a conveyance of property from Sanderson Township to the U.S. with a price and a New Jersey real estate tax charge and the recording stamp? In 2008, this quitclaim deed and documentation clearly did not meet the New Jersey Recording Act requirements to be accepted and recorded as a deed evidencing conveyance of property. This former recording is now being recognized by Mr. Parrott as a right-of-way when in 2009 the quitclaim deed was recognized as a conveyance of property by the United States in civil suit 091303. If you see R of the survey, and you can't even read this thing, this is what was sent to the Hall of Records, you're going to see that it says former right-of-way along that line, okay? See page 4 of the 1980 Harold Pello survey and the right-of-way through Enos Harper's property, vacated by Sanderson Township. This Harold Pello survey was drawn in 1988, and it says right-of-way through the Harper property. Now, let's see.
Mr. Hall, if you would please.
Pardon me?
If you would please.
1 minute left?
No, you're over 6.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You're over 6.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, all right, I didn't hear you.
It's okay. If you want to wrap it up.
Oh, okay, all right. Mr. Parrott seems to be confused as to what was presented at filing. He recognizes 3 Halls, Matthew, Michelle, and Aaron Hall in civil suit, but he records 4 Halls as grantors without signatures or consent decree. Why is this property now being recognized as a right-of-way? I asked that the county remove it from its recording house, these recently recorded documents. This action is in violation of the New Jersey Recording Act and has now hindered the Hall's defense in federal court. I believe Sussex County has violated the whole family's civil rights. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments from the public?
Good evening, my name is Zoe Heath. I'm a resident of Vernon
I'm sorry,
Township.
excuse me, have you signed in?
There's nothing here.
Somebody took your
Did you
sign in?
take it? I guess so.
Oh, I apologize.
I hope not.
Well, go ahead. Okay.
If you could just speak slowly up, thank you. Do what you said.
Thank you, sorry. My name is Zoe Heath. I'm a resident of Vernon Township High School. No, Vernon, graduated from there. And tonight I would like to speak about Freeholders comments both on Facebook and at the public meetings here. First, I would like to read a statement from Garden State Equality, which is the premier LGBTQ rights organization in the state. Freeholder Carl Lazaro, whose history of bias against the LGBT people led to Sussex County residents calling for a censure and resignation, has spoken out again against our community yet again. During the July 11 Sussex County Board of Chosen Freeholders meeting, Lazaro stood to deliver a fire rant in which he labeled pride parades as, quote, wacko lifestyle, and spoke of his need to, quote, turn his children's eyes away from that. In the past, Lazaro has taken to social media to demonstrate his anti-LGBT views, stating clearly that he does not accept the, quote, choices of our community and believes we, quote, can't go our way without his support and can go our way without his support and acceptance. We continue to agree with those who believe Lazaro is not an adequate representative of their community and support those who fight against bigotry. And my main point before I start to make my point, is this is not about freedom of speech. This is not about interpretation of words. Like, Daddy, what's a lubricant, quote Carl Lazaro, is a wrong interpretation of words. But Carl Lazaro proved to us at the July 11th meeting that his, quote, wacko lifestyles were against the LGBTQ community. I work with LGBTQ youth. I founded the Gay Straight Alliance at the high school in Vernon Township. What elected officials say and what we do as people and as elders and as representations of our community matters to young people and to old people alike. When a representation of your community talks about feather and leather, which I apologize as a gay person, I'm not wearing any, is a disappointment and just puts our community further back. Now, as far as freedom of speech goes, freedom of speech is to not yell at fire in a crowded room or to be free to criticize the government. It doesn't mean you are free from punishment for being a bigot. Because frankly, Mr. Lazaro, your words were bigoted. They were old-fashioned, they were wrong, and they hurt our community. I call for his censure, his resignation, and I call for other members of the Board of Chosen Freeholders to speak out against bigotry. Complacency is just as bad. Thank you.
Any comments? Anyone else in the public?
No comments from anyone up there?
I'll get to speak at the end.
Are you ready?
I'm not commenting, I'm just
Okay. Yeah.
commenting separately. I'll sign in.
Thank you.
Doug Amadeo, Denville, which I know is not in this county. Thomas Edison made a lot of money off of the light bulb and related activity. And he lost most of that money in Sparta, New Jersey, by building a facility. The remains of which still sit on Sparta Mountain. I had to live 5 years in Sparta until I knew that, until I went up to Sparta Mountain and saw those wonderful ruins, the trails, the beauty up there. My comments are really related to the scenic byway that we talked about before. I didn't bring it up then because the scenic byway doesn't go through Sparta. I now live in Morris County, and I like to hike, and Morris County has a wonderful county park system, which unfortunately Sussex County doesn't have. But Sussex County has, I think, the most wonderful hiking in the state. The problem is to find it. And to live in Sparta for 5 years and not know about the old log roads that are out there, the ruins, and not just Sparta. I've heard other people say that getting off the Ocean Trail and finding other over a water gap is pretty impossible. As far as I can tell, there's no map of the trails and logging roads in Sparta. There's no trail map. They're accessible in the sense there's places to park, you can walk around. I actually had to get a local guide to take me through, and really couldn't go back because I feel like I could get lost. In Morris County, there are volunteer groups that create trail maps, that create trails, that maintain the trails. We don't have that here. It's a very low-cost solution, and it's a way of expanding the recreation. It's a wonderful, undiscovered resource. It's sitting there. I understand that it's state land, and there may be some questions about the access to it. But Sparta Mountain seems to be open to recreation, and of course, everywhere in the Delaware Water Gap. This is a low-cost or no-cost solution to open these trails, get some trail maps out there, maybe put them on the county website. Let's start using the asset we already have. Thank you.
There is actually a significant trail map. It's the Chamber of Commerce has a very significant trail map. As to whether it's on our website, I don't believe it's on our website, but we do have a trail map. Our trails, though, are set up in such a way that a lot of them are the rail trails, the old railroad trails. That's where we have the rails. The maps, I haven't looked at in a while. It's funny you said this, Doug, because I had it carried in my book thing up until about a month ago. I didn't. So, I'm not walking trails. Somebody should give this to somebody.
Yeah.
But they are available. If you go over to the Chamber of Commerce They do have them over there, and it would be a bad idea for us to get a copy of them. They're pretty big though, so I don't know how we would take them.
I think if I can add to that, you know, we talk about out-of-county visitors, people coming and developing tourism, which should be a major industry here. Unfortunately, outside of skiing, isn't a major industry. Many people come, Freeholder, Patillo can tell the Lake Padcong, how the parking lot fills up. People know where the county is, people know how to get here. The problem is you don't realize the hiking that's available here within a short hop from New York City, and everything's done online now. So if we can access trail maps, give ideas for trails, walking trails, organize people. There's a great love of, we saw the fight for Sparta Mountain, how many people came out, how many people wanted to learn about those trails. You have a vast potential volunteer network to access, to pull together. The resources there are really almost at no cost.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public?
Start my 5 minutes now. Stacy Gregg, I'm from Rockaway. I am looking at property in Sussex. I'm actually looking at a home and a business here. And it came to my attention early this morning regarding what happened at your last meeting with the comments and the video of one of your members, Carl Lazaro, making his claim. And it was very alarming, very frightening. Sussex County has had some problems with politicians with saying things on Facebook that have been very inflammatory and very hurtful to a lot of people. We had, without going into wasting my 5 minutes on what we had with the Confederate flag with one of our people. I don't think, Carl Lazaro, that you want to be in that category. I heard you speak. I did listen very carefully to your words and your years of dedication, everything else, and I appreciate, I grew up in the 80s also. I think you dated me a little bit with when you did your EMT work, and that you said you treated everybody equally. I did hear you yelling that, and I heard you saying that, and that you don't discriminate. Your examples of saying, of working as an EMT said that, but I don't think you understand the harm that was done by the way that you inflamed the LGBTQ community. I'm a friend of the community. I go to the Morristown Unitarian Fellowship. I attend a lot of events. I have not been to a gay pride parade, but you know what? A lot of gay people and lesbian people and queer people have not been to those parades either. And you really, and not everyone wears feathers and leather. Just like when you're watching TV, not everybody of a certain age is using Viagra, and my children are there, and I'm like confused how to answer their question. It's sort of that inflammatory yelling out that you did was very embarrassing, and it showed a bigotry. And if you were yelling it not about the you were not approving of the gay community, if you were yelling it about you're not approving of the immigrant community or the black community or the Mexican community or women as a whole. We had a president who went out and showed us what he thought of women. Government and taking it back starts on a local level. I know you're not local, I know you're not a city, I know you're not a mayor, you're the freeholders, you're up a level above that, and I think as a group, if you don't feel the same way, you need to send to it. I understand you're not going to step down. That doesn't seem to be something, people seem to dig their feet in. I'm entitled to say whatever I want, freedom of speech. This isn't about freedom of speech. This is about a position. This is about when somebody in your community comes up for any sort of decision that you get to vote on. You get to vote on a lot of things that deal with a lot of big money things. You're opening yourselves to a lawsuit if that person is gay. So I really think the wise thing to do would be to be very clear. I have not heard an apology, and I did not hear that you would never, ever vote against the rights of gay people to be married. I did not hear you say that you vote against their, that you would never vote against their civil rights. I wasn't hearing that. I was hearing that you did not like them with your statement. I was hearing you don't approve of that. That to me, that means not like. You don't like. And I don't want to bully. I don't like this phrase. I don't like the campaign, be best, because I like to think Americans are a bit smarter and more literate than 2 words. But bullying's got to stop. And I don't want to be called that I'm out here, beating up on anybody. There's 2 people here. You had none of you. The other 4 of you had nothing to say to a young lady in your community who read to you from the Garden State Equality a message that they put out after viewing and going through the newspaper of what's been happening here with this whole situation regarding the comments that were made by this member of the Freeholders. And the other 4 of you didn't have the courtesy to say, that was really brave of you and we're proud of you for getting up here. You were silent. Thank you for your time. Did I have a minute left?
Yes.
Oh, so to back up my friend Zoe and from the other people of the community that did have something to say in the statement, I would also like to call for a censure or a statement regarding as to why you would not censor from the other Freeholders, or if Mr. Lazaro would like to clarify, not yell at me or yell at anybody else. It's not necessary. It's not good for your health. We're all in this together. We all live here in this country, and we need to hold each other up, not be judgmental and knock each other down or be disapproving of someone's way of going about their life. This is life and death for a lot of people, and I don't think you have the right to approve or not approve. It doesn't affect you. Just like if I had an abortion, I don't need to be locked up for it. We have a president who wants to lock up any woman who had an abortion. It doesn't affect them. It doesn't affect them. It doesn't have a uterus. You're not going to prevent abortions by outlawing them. But I want to know that you're up there. You're not going to be outlawing or want to lock people up that have had them. The women are still going to get them. They're just not going to be safe if you pass those type of laws. And I'd like to think, just like with the gay community, that people are still going to be together, the acts are still going to happen, but now you're going to be contributing. If you do vote on anything that does affect them in the future, you try to go to a higher position in the government, you're just going to put them in danger of being beaten again and hiding and making them hide. And the man spoke to that last meeting, one of the people spoke. But again, you were all silent and had nothing to say. I think you're better than that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Oh. Didn't want to take it.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? You stole the pen too?
I'm Gail Hall, Layton, New Jersey, and I'll be very brief. Just something that my husband didn't get a chance to comment on. The recorded on June 25th, 2018 survey that Mr. Parrott recorded, accepted and recorded. This survey of our son's property has no, you have the tiny little survey. It does not show the entrances to our son's property, in other words, their driveway. It shows a plot of land without driveway entrances. It doesn't show my one son, there's two homes on the property. It doesn't show my one son's septic system, which if you know anything about surveys of your own home, of course, anything not attached to the ground, or anything attached to the ground will be shown. So what kind of games are being played by the NPS US that they don't show driveway entrances?
What is the NP?
Excuse me?
What is that? You just.
Oh, National Park Service, NPS, National Park Service, United States.
Okay.
What kind of games are being played? Are they going to come back if my sons ever were forced to sign this document that, as you know, is unsigned? And they've been forced to this point, so anything is possible. What will happen if they're forced to sign this and the United States can say, there's no entrance to your property. Look at the survey. Look at the survey. There's no entrance to your property. Sorry, but you can't go home. And you don't have a septic, so we're condemning. There's no septic on this survey. so we're condemning you. You just don't know. But this survey is a hoax, and it's a result of the recording that Mrs. Gormley fabricated on June 17, 2008. And it's absolutely a crime and a civil rights violation of our family. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public?
Costa from Newton. I've never gotten up before and spoken. Can you hear me? I know I'm short.
You should just speak down a little louder.
A little louder and maybe
That's
all right. Bishop Fulton Sheen has said that tolerance applies to persons, never to principles, and intolerance applies to principles, but never to persons. And I believe that Carl Lazaro would agree with that. Acceptance and approval are not the same thing. I accept that there's sin in the world, but I don't have to approve of sinful lifestyles. I wasn't here at the last, I guess there was another meeting. I went to one meeting, then I think there was one in between. So I didn't see any video, I don't know what all that was about, but I just wanted to say this.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public? Seeing no one from the public, do I have a motion to close the public portion of the motion? Public portion of the meeting? Motion by Patillo, second by Graham. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The floor is closed to the public. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Graham, second by Patillo. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The meeting is adjourned.